What is up? What is up? Let's get some people in here. All right, guys. I'm going to go ahead and get started off right quick and just upload it. But this is the first episode of Treg Talks. I found this subject interesting. It's definitely interesting. I got a couple videos for you guys. I have a biblical aspect in it. It brings everything together. You got to do extra biblical texts to come up with some of these things that I'm coming up with. I just want you guys to watch the video at first before I start going too much into detail. But I just wanted to play this video. We got everything from D-Waves that we're going to be talking about, D-Wave computers, to ancient temples, and how they tie into these computer chips that they end up wanting to put in our brains. So go ahead and buckle up, and we'll see what happens.
System, the D-Wave 2X that came out in 2015, the fourth model based on the 1024 chipset. Side by side, it's exactly the same as Aleister Crowley's great table, in which he has a chart bisected by a cross into four quadrants. The chipset is laid out identically to Crowley's great table, which was used for communicating with the other side, the exchange of information. When I say that this is evidence of evil, this is what I'm showing you, folks. Geomancy is used for divining the future. 16 figures of geomancy that equate to the 16 models of D-Wave computers. But more specifically, I'm showing you how in total, the 16 figures, side by side, with the 512 Vesuvius chipset from D-Wave that came out in 2013, are identical. What I show you is the wiring diagram of the qubits alongside the geomantic figures, 16 of which comprise geomancy, and of which those 16, their combinations, their iterations, their maximum number of configurations results in 65,536 iterations of 16 geomantic figures. It is exactly the same number as the 10th model D-Wave, comprised of 65,536 qubits.
Okay, he goes into great detail in the article, and I will put two links to two different shows he did below so that you can see it, you can listen to him explain it with the graphics. You can see here where they overlaid the chip on top of the temple design, and they didn't have to morph it or stretch it or Photoshop it. It is laid out exactly the same. So anyway, he goes into great detail. They even call, how bits are ones and zeros? Well, they even call these qubits in the quantum computing with the D-Wave computer. That's the terminology they use, qubits. And the Bible measured everything in qubits. It's some fascinating stuff. Please check out those links if you're into this kind of thing. Okay, so here's some clips from the anti-Christians, from the pure science on the other side of the aisle, and what they're saying about this.
I have heard this word quantum computing. It's often, people have the misconception that it's some kind of newfangled supercomputer. It's decidedly not that. Quantum computers allow us to access hidden features of nature, new dimensions, and if we can access these sort of hidden dimensions,
that
may look a little strange to you who don't follow theoretical physics, but there is a very clear prediction that our most successful theory of nature makes, and that is that there are an enormous number, mind-bogglingly large number, of parallel realities, as real as this one. And this is bizarre because we don't see those other things. But science has reached the point now where we can build machines that exploit those other worlds.
And these things that we're summoning into the world now are not demons, they're not evil. Same way that you don't care about an ant is the same way they're not going to care about you. And these things that we're summoning into the world now are not demons, they're not evil, but they're more like the Lovecraftian great old ones. There are entities that are not necessarily going to be aligned with what we want.
So there you have it, straight out of the horse's mouth. It's pretty clear what their agenda is. And now that was Gordy Rose, several clips over the years when he was working on the D-Wave quantum computer. Now he has his own company. You can see his shirt, Kindred of all things, like Kindred Spirits. And the logo is a serpent, you know, the Ouroboros eating its own tail thing, you know, the occult. And here you can see that now they've joined forces. The D-Wave has joined forces with NASA and Google. This is real. This is this is an actual business merger deal.
So that I think is pretty interesting, man. That kind of stuff right there is, if you listen to that video and you go back in the link, which I have the link to the video in my description. If you click below, there's 2 video links. One of them's for another one I'm about to pop up here in a little bit. But if you follow that, they are creating technology that exploits different kinds of, they call them dimensions. I think there's a veil over everybody's eyes, and we can't see different things, just like the Bible tells us, right? So there are principalities, there are different entities, there's all kinds of things that we're working against in this world. I'll go through here, have all the links here. So these extra biblical texts I'm talking about are the Book of Enoch, Book of Jasher, and the Book of Watchers. I mean, these texts are really big on what were these temples for, is all I'm saying. What were these ancient Egyptian temples for that we can't take care of, right? I mean, we can't take care of the problem that we can't figure out where they come from, how they got there. There's so much question behind the pyramids, is all I'm saying. And yet they have so much similarity with the technology that we're building. Using communication. It has everything to do with communication. I'm going to go ahead and put this up for you. Has everything to do with communication. Or transmission of some sort. We've got, that's a computer RAM right there. That is another temple. This is the Temple of Horus. This is the eastern side, the most important side from what I understand. And look at the ginormous similarities between computer chips and ancient temples. And this is going to be a big deal right now because the connection I'm trying to draw between these two, if you go, is that these angels came down and gave us knowledge we have no clue about. And if you look at other texts that the Bible refers to, which is down here, Bible refers to Jasher, Bible refers to Enoch. So I checked those texts out. And has everything to do with technologies, right? We're technologies and weaponry. So I'm just disturbed as to if we don't know what these computer chips are. And what these temples are, but we're making communication chips that have everything to do with the design of these temples. Maybe we don't know. That'd be even more scary. What are we doing with them? So I have another video for you guys right here. Go ahead and check it out. I'll go over it after the video.
Right now,
scientists in laboratories around the world are developing brain chips. Now, these are chips that can be inserted into the brain, and they are wireless. And that brain chip can restore your quality of life. Would you hesitate to get the chip? No, of course not. You would say, put the chip in my brain. Put the chip in my brain.
Put the chip in my brain.
So that is starting right now, these experiments. And even more interesting, scientists have done experiments with rats, and they have chips in the rat's brain. And what they did was they taught a rat how to do certain things. And when the rat did all these complex things, it could get food. Now, it took the rat weeks to learn that. Weeks. But then they hooked the rat's brain chip to the internet. And they had another rat in another city. And instantly they connected those two rats' brains. And do you know what happened? The other rat knew how to get the food right away. It didn't have to learn anything. The knowledge was transferred from one brain of a living animal to another brain. That is amazing. That opens up a world of possibilities. Because if they can do that in rats today, imagine 10 years from now what they can do in humans. And we will go there. So, mind-to-mind communication. This is something of science fiction that we all read about. But this is actually possible today, as I just showed you. So there will come a point where if we have a chip in our brain, and you out there have a chip in your brain, we can communicate. We can communicate without talking. We can communicate when you're halfway around the world. And we can exchange knowledge. So, if you look at a world where we have these chips that are connected to the internet, all of a sudden, every piece of information on the internet becomes accessible to our minds. Now, when we look back at today and we have to go to Baidu or Google and type it in, that will seem so primitive. Nobody will do that. You will just think, what knowledge do I need? And it will appear there for you to use. But it gets even weirder, stranger. Because we will not only be able to transfer knowledge, but we will be able to transfer memories. Now, so you could have an experience like skydiving, and all of a sudden you could transfer that experience to a friend. And all of a sudden they have experienced what you have experienced. It gets even weirder. Because we will be living our lives as our lives. We know our lives and our memories. But you will all of a sudden have access to anybody's life who wants to make it available to you. People will open source their lives so others can download pieces of their lives and experience those things. That will be really strange. We won't know the difference between our own memory and a memory we acquired from someone else. Think about that. It gets even stranger. So, all of us are here learning at SEEBS, right? Getting EMBAs and MBAs. Well, this will be obsolete because SEEBS will literally be in the cloud. And you will just download from all the best minds in the world whatever you need to know when you need to know it. Our brains we will no longer have universities as we have them today. That will change. Information will be on demand. Information will be commoditized. Knowledge will be commoditized. All of us will be smarter, have infinite amounts of storage, and infinite access to information. It will be unheard of. We will no longer be this isolated human being. We will be connected to everything. We will be connected to everything.
To everything.
So, you can imagine not only will we be able to get knowledge, but we can actually have full experiences in our head. So right now we have these clunky VR units that we have to put on. But in the future, you can just download a whole environment and actually live in it. And all of you might think, this is not real. But do you know every night when you dream, those dreams are real. No matter how fantastic your dreams are, they are real. You feel like you're really there. Our brains have that capability already built in. All it takes is the technology to stimulate and transfer the right images in our brain so our brain creates them, and then we will live like the difference between us dreaming and reality will be blurred. We will be spending a lot of time outside our bodies. So, think about this. You, as a human being right now, are trapped in this body. But once you are connected to the internet, you are no longer trapped in your body. You can actually be anywhere at any time that any other person or any other device is getting sensory information. So there could be a robot on Mars, and you could literally tap into the robot on Mars, and it would be like you're on Mars. It could totally recreate the experience, including the sensations, the physical sensations, like everything of you being on Mars. You can live through other people, your favorite pop star, your favorite scientist. You could be in Elon Musk's head right now, walking around doing what he's doing, if Elon Musk allowed you to do that. It gets so strange because our senses now, we have our 5 senses of our body. But suddenly, if we are connected to a world of intelligent machines and intelligent sensors all over, we will no longer have 5 senses. We will have access to hundreds of sensory input, infrared, right? All these UV, all these different types of senses that we never even experienced before. It will radically change how we perceive existence. So if you start to go down this path, you see, we won't even be, our life today will be totally alien to us. We will be living in a whole nother reality that is blending information, sensory information, data information, memories, all of this from all around the world in this vast internet. And that will and can happen. So let's go even further. Experiencing other lives. So all of us experience things in our life. But now we will be able to have many lives. You can have many lives because you can access other people in other places and live through them. And if you want to think about this, it can be almost like heaven. Why do I say this? Because if you study every major religion in the world, every religion, Buddhism, Christianity, Hinduism, what those religions promise us is that we will escape our bodies in the future. We will go to some heaven or nirvana or a state of non-being or a state of inclusiveness with everybody. No longer will we and our consciousness be confined to our bodies as an individual. In fact, if you look at us right now as a human being, if I feel pain, if I'm in pain, nobody else can feel the pain I feel. If you're in pain, I can't feel your pain. I can feel sorry for you. I can empathize with you, but I cannot feel your pain. But in this world, we will actually be able to feel the emotions of other people. You can actually not just transfer data and sensory information, but emotions. I would know your pain, you would know our pain, and human beings would never be alone. So, we will come to a point where we, as gods, like gods, will be creating our own reality. We will be redefining what the human experience is for the first time in history. This can happen, and it will happen, but what we want to think about is this. Technology is really powerful. The internet, being connected, is really powerful. But we've already seen in a very primitive way, just with our cell phones, these primitive devices, how it can totally change our life. Like all of our lives are changed by WeChat. All of our lives are changed by the internet. Well, we are embarking on a path now where we will become the internet. The internet will become us. They will be inseparable. We'll have our storage and everything else all over the place. And when we do that, we have to understand that this is a big responsibility. It's something we as a society, we as the human race, must think about very, very carefully. Because imagine, people can hack your cell phone now. People can hack your computer, and it can be bad. They can steal your banking information, take all your money. They can steal your identity, but they can't really hurt you. In the future, though, if somebody hacks into your head because it's connected to the internet, they can steal you. They could actually steal you. They can implant memories in your head that you don't have. They could erase memories. They could control you in ways that you wouldn't even know you're being controlled. Is this scary? So I painted on the hand a heaven, but there is also a hell, right?
And I just wanted to pause right there. That was a lot of information, guys, right? The rest of the video is down there. But I watch some of this stuff and I just think, wow, that is nuts. Because I draw it all together and I put a biblical step on it. And they don't make it hard to do it, because look what he just sat there and said. He sat there like a prophet. And that's what these scientists sound like nowadays. Do they not? They sound like prophets. They're promising you heaven now. And hell. They ain't even messing around no more. They're saying we're going to create both for you. And notice how he drew upon, well, we noticed that these religions, they're promising you stuff. We'll promise the same thing. It says in the Bible that there's nothing new under the sun. There's nothing new under the sun. And I go back to this. What is that stuff, man? What were they doing then that we don't understand through our scientific minds that have pushed out religion? Can you imagine how much of a mind crazy gymnastics that you'd have to go through to get society to still use the technology on such a smaller scale? I mean, look at this stuff here. I'll put it up on the screen for you. I mean, look at this stuff. What is that? And I'll read it for you. The most important part of the Temple of Horus, the east end, has similar structure to the interior of their CPU. The similar sections. They said similar. Look at that picture. They ain't lying. That's ultra similar. All I'm saying is there's nothing new under the sun. The Book of Solomon. Everybody knows King Solomon in the Bible. Everyone knows about the Tower of Babel. What was the point in that temple in the first place? What was the point in that temple? To make some sort of transmission, communication. They were going to communicate with God with that tower. So every time these Nephilim, these people come down the earth, to the earth, and they start, let's go to Thoth. Every time they come down to earth with knowledge, right? Thoth is the master of knowledge and pardon of scribes, right? Patron of scribes, not pardon of scribes, sorry. He likes to pass down knowledge. He likes to give you knowledge you didn't have. We have these pyramids. What were they for? I really want to know. And so we bring it into Elon Musk's chip that he wants to put in your head, right? It looks to me like they taken this 10,000. I mean, this is a whole entire temple. These are ginormous structures. I mean, that's the whole entire pyramid. That's a computer chip. All I'm saying is that humans, whether they know it or not, have been taking the same technology, because nothing is new under the sun, for thousands of years, and condensing it into this, whatever this is. And now we can communicate with those like I think they were communicating on this. This is that's if you guys have any other thoughts, this is King Herod's temple. No, King Herod's temple. Let's go back. This is Temple of Horus. The computer chip that we went over, that is King Herod's temple right there. That's King Herod's temple. Over the quantum computer chip. King Herod's temple is the second temple in the Bible, if anyone keeps up with that. There's supposed to be 3 temples built. They're trying to build the 3rd one now over the Temple Mount. All of that is a totally different video we can go over. But he definitely had a lot to do with the second temple and all kinds of other colossal structures, that's for sure. These temples communicated, and they do admit that. They were using these to communicate, and I think it was more than just in their head and imagination and throwing up some incense. I think there was something going on. Because now we've got these quantum computer chips that are in the same design that now we're using to put into our brains. We're using them to put into our brains, and we're going to be able to communicate on a basis that's more than just our 5 senses. And you tell me that don't sound like they're selling us the same lie that Satan sells us in Genesis and all of the other. You'll be as gods. God shall surely never know, because he's proven that God might not exist. And then he says, what's the 3rd lie? You shall be as gods, you shall never die. Right? You shall never die. They're trying to promise that right now. I'm telling you, that's coming next. So, go ahead and throw me down your thoughts. Tell me what you think. Like I said, if you want to check me, I got the Book of Enoch. The Book of Enoch is referenced in the Bible. Book of Jasher is referenced in the Bible. I mean, you got to go through these. There's way more. I just put down a couple per. Go ahead and look at these. Like I said, this is big. Watch out, because there's some big technology coming through. That's for sure. Go ahead and like and subscribe to the channel. We got more stuff coming up next week, I'm sure. I just thought this was weird. I thought this was a good episode to start on, because I thought it was pretty interesting stuff. Like I said, go ahead and let me know in the comments below anything that you think is interesting, anything that you want to go over on this topic, anything that you want to go over on any other topic. I think a lot of things are interesting, but this is definitely a big one. We got to watch out for this. There's nothing new under the sun, and let this picture stand for it. Right there. Nothing new under the sun. What are we doing now with these computer chips? I've always thought they were fishy. Let my cell phone go for 3 years because of this. Anyways.